Did you know the SSH protocol is proprietary? Well, I mentioned that in my SSH overview video, so check that video out if you want to know more about the protocol itself. I also mentioned in that video that the open source SSH implementation is OpenSSH. This is how SSH is implemented on all three major operating systems. This is B from Talk Tech, and today I'm going to be covering OpenSSH, so stick with me. I have a favor to ask. If you like this type of video and want to see more content like it, make sure you are subscribed and hit the bell button for notifications. Also, don't forget to give this video a like if you like it. Let me know what you liked, didn't like, or if you have any comments, questions, concerns, or emotional outbursts down in the comment section below. And lastly, make sure you stick around all the way to the end to get the most out of this video. Let's do this thing. But before we do that, we've got another sighting of Tessie. Right, Tessie? Tessie. Tessie. Look, she looked at us. She's getting better. She's turning into a little YouTube star. But let's go ahead and get into OpenSSH. So OpenSSH is the open source implementation of SSH, which is maintained by the OpenBSD project. OpenSSH was created OpenSSH created it using a fork of a guy named Bjorn Gronval's OSSH, which was a fork of the original free SSH release 1.2.12, so just fork after fork. So you gotta love the way that some of this stuff works out. Its initial release was 12.1, 1999. It's supported in Linux, Mac OS, and Windows. And it comes with quite a few different command line utilities and daemons. Let me go ahead and shrink myself down here. I'm going to go ahead and I've got a list out here for you. So these utilities are going to include SCP and SFTP. My last video before this one that I recorded was SFTP, and then the SCP video was back in March of 2023. So SCP is just a secure version of the copy command, and SFTP is the secure file transfer protocol, which allows it's basically the secure version of the FTP protocol, which is in turn just a simple file transfer server. So it also provides the SSH service. It has the SSH TAC add and SSH TAC agent. These hold keys ready and does not require a passphrase every time they are used. I've never really used them, so I'm not going to go into really any more detail other than that. But yeah, the other one is SSH keygen, which is actually what's used to generate private and public keys for you, and that's what you'll actually use when you're using certificate authentication for a remote SSH server. And if you want to go ahead and know more about authenticating with certificates to an SSH server, go ahead and go back to that video where I covered it previously. So when we're talking about OpenSSH, there's actually two components that need to be installed. I'm actually going to type them out here, and that's going to be the OpenSSH client and the OpenSSH server. So those are going to be the two components that you're going to need. The client is typically going to be installed by default on most Linux distributions, and then OpenSSH is the server, which allows the device, the system, to be accessed as an SSH server from an SSH client. That is not installed by default, so that it is something that you will have to install if you want to go ahead and access your server through SSH. Now, port forwarding is an option that's also super helpful, and this allows you to create an SSH tunnel between a client and a server. It's very similar to how a VPN works. It's got this tunnel, all the traffic goes through tunnel, so you can't see anything that's going through the tunnel. I actually use this on a regular basis to connect to the VMs on my home server. I run my graphics for my VMs through VNC, which is not encrypted by default, but creating the SSH tunnels allows me to secure it. You can also create a simple Socks5 proxy server, which is what I've got listed here. And here's the SSH tunnel and the Socks5 proxy server, which is another way that you can do secure communication. The cool thing about Socks5 is it allows for more than multiple protocols to go through it, unlike your typical HTTP or HTTPS proxy servers that are used very frequently. And that may be something I might do a video on in the future. So if that's something that you're interested in, let me know down in the comment section below. But I want to go ahead and actually go through some examples and things like that. So let me go ahead and close out of this. Now, if you need to go ahead and install it, let's go ahead. Let me go ahead and actually show you something here first. We're going to do things a little out of order here because I'm gonna go onto my Linux server here. And what we're doing here is if you look at just this first part of the SSH command, is you're going to see that that's the pretty standard way to do it. But then you see that tac uppercase L, and then you see 5900 localhost 5900. So essentially, what that tac uppercase L is allowing us to do, it's allowing us to create that tunnel between my laptop, my MacBook here, and my Linux server. So then all the traffic that's going to be going through there is going to be going through through port 5900. So let's go ahead and do that. Perfect. And the reason we put the 5900 is because we're just lining up the ports, and that's where it's making the port connections is on 5900. Let me actually show you something. SS, and we're going to do NATP. SS lets you just see information on socket connections, stuff like that. And then we're going to just grep this. And then we're going to go ahead and do 5900. And you can see it right there. All right, and the next thing that we can also go ahead and do is we can actually go ahead and just create that simple Socks5 proxy server, which is pretty easy. And I'm gonna go ahead and do it right here from my home server. We're gonna go ahead and do D, and then we're gonna go ahead and put in a port number. For this example, I'm just gonna use 8080. And then we're gonna go ahead and do the rest of it like we would just do any other connections. Then we would do B at 2.168.1.9. Let's go ahead and whoops, that's not the right password for that one. Perfect, and there we go. Now we have that Socks proxy server connection between my home server and this Raspberry Pi here that's on my network as well. So pretty cool stuff. Let's go ahead and exit out of here. Now, back here on the home server, when we're talking about installing SSH, and all of these utilities are going to be combined with SSH, so you don't have to install them separately. So what you would do is be pretty simple. It's a sudo apt install open SSH client, and then open SSH server. And remember, the client is installed by default, and then the server is the one you typically have to manually install unless you selected it during the installation process. I already have both of these installed, but it's not going to hurt to put them in there again. It's not actually going to do that. All it's going to do is just tell me like, hey, dude, you've already got those installed. We don't need to do anything else for those. So pretty cool, right? It's amazing every time that I do a video on one of these topics, just how useful a lot of these applications, protocols, and all that stuff is. Make sure you check out this other video from my channel as well. Remember, mistakes make you better, so keep on making it. Thank you so much for watching my video, and have the greatest of days.